Hello, everyone. Welcome into CUTV Sports 1. It's another edition of Forechecking, returning for the spring semester here at Cal U. I'm Trevin Gatellis. I have Nolan Beislein beside me. He was a member of the show last year. And we have Johnny Sakaguchi joining us here. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be back, and should be an exciting semester in the show.
Yeah, there's a lot in hockey going on. Of course, we're trying to get the show rebooted here for another year. We're without Doug, but we're making it happen. But so basically, if you guys are not familiar with the show, we give you guys the updates on NHL as we go, the standings on each team. We incorporate a little bit of some pick'ems this year. There's a lot of new stuff we brought to the show, Nolan.
Yeah, lots of different things, and should be a good semester. I know each of us have different teams that we like, so it could be a good back and forth between each of us.
Indeed. So let's get it started right away. We're going to give you guys NHL news and trade updates first. So let's take a look at our first one that happened, I believe, last night, Toronto and LA. Nolan, Johnny, give us some insight on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, LA was definitely looking to try to free up a little bit of space since they're technically eliminated from the playoffs already. Toronto trying to make that playoff push. The deadline coming up on the 24th, so they're trying to get it stacked up as best they can. Getting Campbell and Clifford or solidify the rest of the lineup then after that.
And, of course, Freddie Anderson is out with injury, so Jack Campbell, maybe that replacement that Toronto's looking for right now.
Yeah, it's a big replacement there for them to bring in Jack Campbell, somebody that they can rely a lot on for Toronto. And for the Kyle Clifford, I saw one of the reports said that Kyle Dubas used to be his agent before he became a general manager, so that may have had a little effect, bringing a tough presence. But for LA, I think it's more of just a rebuilding time.
Yeah, try to get them started. And, of course, we looked at the bottom of the graphic there. The Kings will actually retain 50% of Clifford's salary. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting move, I would have to say, especially with just how close salary caps are nowadays. But, it could just be a move that they needed to do to make the deal done. And I was kind of surprised Jack Campbell, but the Kings looking towards more of a prospect goalie of Cal Pedersen that they have down in the AHL right now.
Of course, moving ahead, that's the only big update of NHL we truly have that's official, but Johnny has a couple rumors he's looking at that might happen. So, Johnny, tell us what is in the talks.
A couple different ones we've heard about. Zucker coming to the Pittsburgh Penguins from Minnesota, which we all know that deal probably could have went down earlier this year. Had Phil Kessel said he would have been willing to go to the Minnesota Wild. We all know he declined that with his no-trade clause, but he accepted the deal to go to Arizona, and that's because of Rick Tocchet being there. Now, that one's also in, and then something I looked at before the show started was that the Edmonton Oilers and the Pittsburgh Penguins are looking at trying to get Thomas Tatar from the Montreal Canadiens, another physical presence, but also a grit player, a locker room guy, somebody that I think the Penguins are looking for, or just to have that presence in the locker room and some leadership roles there.
Of course, and that's all the updates we have for you for now. But let's look at the standings coming up here, and this is part of our favorite spots. Let's look at the Metro first. Take a look at it. Capitals up top, of course. Nolan wearing his Capitals jersey. Penguins in second place. Blue Jackets, Islanders, Devils rounding out down the bottom. Flyers looking good there this season. Capitals, but up there on top, Nolan. They're looking good.
Yeah, lots of up and down games, but really stellar performance by rookie goaltender Ilya Samsonov. Really stepping up. He's making history win after win, it seems. I think he has the most wins as a rookie goaltender in I don't know how many seasons. So really stepping up, and just overall, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Verana. Can't go wrong with Caps this season.
It's such a tight battle up there for the Metro. As we move ahead, another East Division. We take a look at the Atlantic standings right now, and this was as of yesterday. Of course, the Bruins now have 2 more points. They're sitting at 78 after the overtime win last night over the Blackhawks, but still sitting up there at top is the Bruins. Lightning at 71. The Panthers at 64, passing up the Maple Leafs there at 63. Then Red Wings all the way at the bottom at 28, and they're having a lot of struggles this season.
Yeah, the Red Wings, they're still in that rebuilding process. We all know the Red Wings being that playoff dynasty team for so many years. They had not, until, I believe it was 2012, had been to the playoffs for 15 years straight. So without seeing that with the presences that they had, but most of their guys are starting to retire or leaving, and Datsuk and all those guys. It's going to be hard to watch Detroit play for a couple of years, but I'm going to say probably around 2023 we'll see them start to build back up again.
All right, so good outlook for the future coming up. Let's flip it to the other side in the West. Take a look at the Central, and it's a little battle between Johnny and I here as we're Stars and Avalanche jerseys. But St. Louis up there at the top, 72 with the Blues, 65 and 64 battle. Sorry for the Predators, though. We tried to make them yellow because that's the only color I know that they have other than the blue. But 57 there for the Nashville Predators. They jumped the Blackhawks and the Jets earlier this week. So kudos to them. They're putting on a little bit of a run here in the Central, and then the Wild rounding it out.
Yeah, that Central is a wild division right now. That should be updated again. Blackhawks should have one extra point after the overtime
Correct.
loss last night, so they should have sole possession of fourth. But the rest of that division, and it's not a joke to watch any of those games, which, as you said, your Avalanche, the Stars with me, as well as watching the defending champs, the St. Louis Blues, they're going to be tough to play going down the stretch. That whole division, you watch, it's going to be a wildfire. I guarantee you one of those teams that towards the bottom is going to end up in the wild card spot, if not both.
Yeah, indeed. We'll take a look at the last standings here. That's Pacific, so the other version of the West here. Conference. The Canucks up there at the top of 65, and that's a shocking one for me. I didn't expect them to be as good as they are this season. Oilers at 62, Golden Knights at 61. The Flames were up there, dropping down out of number 5 at 60 behind the Coyotes, Sharks, Ducks, and Kings, rounding out the bottom one of that one. But that's a different shakeup for the Pacific.
Yeah, it's a tough year out, I'd say, for the Pacific. I mean, top seed is 65 points, and you look at the Metro or the Atlantic almost at 80 points already. So it's a big difference down there. I think the Bruins got 2 extra points last night.
It did.
So it's, out west is kind of struggling this year. Usually you see the Sharks or somebody out there making a push, and it's not the same this year at all.
Yeah, that whole Pacific division's up for grabs this year, which is a shock. Usually that's the dominant division in the West. But I expect to see a lot of big runs going down the stretch by Vancouver or in Vegas before the season's out.
And that'll do it for our first segment, guys. So we're going to step aside real quick for a little commercial break. When we come back, we're going to give you guys a really cool segment and announce our favorite teams of the show and some of that other information. We'll see how it goes. But stick around. We got more hockey on the Forechecking show right here on CUTV Sports 1 when we return.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here's about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
Have you seen the new Cal U Vulcan logo around? Have you wondered where to get gear featuring it? Then go to calvulcans.com and click shop. Log on and browse a full selection of men's shirts, women's shirts, pullovers, hoodies, and more. All items feature customization with the new Cal U Vulcan logo and wordmark. The site also features a full selection of hats, tailgating items, and accessories. Don't be the last person to sport new Cal U Vulcan gear. Go to calvulcans.com today.
Pride and passion drives the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. From 55 NCAA championship teams, 294 individual national champs, and counting. Who's next? Make the PSAC yours. PSAC Proud is winning in athletics and in the classroom. Over 3,100 PSAC student athletes are honored as scholar athletes. It's a perfect mix of athletics and academics. It's time to make the PSAC yours.
Welcome back into Forechecking on CTV Sports 1. We are here with more hockey show. I'm Trevor Gattelis. Alongside me again, Nolan Beislein and Johnny Sakaguchi. Just finished up that first segment talking about the standings. So now we're into a cool edition of the show. We're going to announce our favorite teams here on the show.
All right.
You guys ready?
Yep, let's do this.
Let's take a look. So all of our ones out of the CUTV suite. Let's take a look at the graphic here. Our favorite teams announcement. That's who we're going with. So Nolan's going with the Capitals. The stipulation was none of us can pick the same team. So Nolan with the Caps. Colin taking the Pens because he works for him. He called dibs. I took the Avalanche. Peyton taking the Canucks. He'll join us on the next show. Doug, of course, our soul man from out there in Johnstown, taking Toronto. Johnny with Dallas, and Gary taking Vegas. An interesting shake-up there with all those teams.
Yeah, I was going to say, hey, it's kind of even, but you got a lot of top playoff contenders right now. Other than Toronto being borderline, but hey.
Yeah, hey, they're all in the running. So we're going to actually also take a look at the standings. What we did is we took the favorite teams we just announced and did the standings of each team. Now, these are at the records as of Wednesday. I don't think any of them have changed. That no one played last night, but those are the records in the standings. That's the way it looks. So Capitals right there at the top. So Nolan's favorite team is at the top right now. Penguins in second. Dallas in third. So you made a little jump there. Canucks fourth, myself in fifth, and then Toronto and Vegas rounding out the bottom two.
Yeah. Dallas is looking really good. Jamie Benn's been all over the place. If you guys got a chance to watch the Winter Classic, he was on fire that game, along with several other players. But it's good to see the Stars getting back to what they used to be as a playoff contender.
Yeah, the Avs are kind of one of those teams that are kind of back and forth. I know I'm wearing the alternate jersey today, but they're kind of back and forth. You know, they get some big wins, they get some games that they shouldn't lose, but it's a toss-up. But you know, if you're Nolan with the Caps over here, you kind of got a lot to hope for.
I mean, that roster doesn't change other than maybe the bottom six and the back three defensemen.
He's got a stacked team over here.
Yeah.
And that team, for whatever reason, just produces Russian goaltenders in the league like it's nobody's business.
We have, of course, Alex Ovechkin here that matches Nolan over there and TJ Oshie, so that's pretty cool. All of our Funko Pops we bring on the sets. That's kind of one of our things that we do down here at TV, I guess, right?
How we don't have a Jamie Benn one here yet, I don't know.
I don't. It was out of stock when I went to order it. So I did not have Jamie Benn. I was also looking for Brent Burns, but I couldn't get that one either.
Yeah, well,
But
next time.
It's all right. And then one last graphic I'll give you guys a look at. There's no numbers on this graphic yet, but the pick'em standings, and basically when we do the pick'em games, we'll all keep track of how many that we have correct and wrong, but no games yet. We'll get a chance to show you our first ones that we're going to pick in just a minute here, but that's the standing so far. No one has it. The panda at the bottom, that's something interesting to talk to you guys about. The penalty box panda, as you guys, if you're fans of High School Roundup on CUTV Sports 1, you know they have the High School Roundup puppy, which is Colin's puppy. This is a panda that I have. He's always a Penguins fan, so any pickups that he makes, he will always pick the Pens. And any other teams he'll make as well. But he's dressed in a full hockey outfit, and he will make picks. So that's going to be our special guest pick every time will be the panda. He'll make an appearance on the show. He wasn't feeling it this week. I tried to bring him down yesterday, and he was not having it.
Yeah, he was still staying in the sin bin, so.
Yeah, he said it was too cold. He's used to the warm weather. He said it was a little too cold yesterday.
Yeah, I'll agree with that, especially after that trip to Johnstown.
Oh, that was a good trip. But anyway, we'll step aside real quick. When we come back, we'll give you guys our look at the pick'em games coming up for after this show. So don't go anywhere. More forechecking when we return on CUTV Sports 1. Welcome back to Forechecking on CUTV Sports 1. It's now time for our favorite segment of the show where we go into all of our pick'em games for the upcoming week. So basically how the show works, guys, if you followed Fantasy Football Freak Show as well, it's every 2 weeks. So Caton's Corner will be next week, and then we'll have a show on the 20th. So we're going to give you guys a look at all the top games we picked. There's 8 games between now and the 20th. So those will be the games we're looking at. So let's get started with our first one here. We all made our picks. Flames at Canucks is our first game. Take a look at the graphic there. We have the colored graphic is who you chose. The grayed out graphic is, of course, the one you did not. So 4 people taking Calgary, 4 taking the Canucks. It's a split panel, guys.
Yeah, with the way Vancouver's been playing, you can't bet against them right now. Until they get cold, I'm going to stay with the Canucks on this ride.
Yeah, and of course, we heard from our man Gary. He picked Calgary because you can't spell Calgary without Gary. So shout out to Gary Smith for picking them. I'm taking the Flames. They always have one of those mentalities where they can always seem to pull out an upset when they need to. And being that they're on a little bit of a decline here, down to that 5 spot, I think they could try to make a run. What about you, Nolan?
Yeah, I mean, I went with Calgary, but I think it's just honestly the grit of that team. I mean, you saw it last week for fans that didn't see. They had a goalie fight.
I did, yeah.
Whereas Mike Smith against Cam Talbot, 2 guys that used to go against each other, not for the Canucks, but Edmonton and Calgary. So I think this Calgary team's on the hunt, and they're going to make a push late. So that's why I'm going with Calgary here.
And we'll see who comes out on top at that one. But let's look at the second game here. This is one of my favorites of the pick'ems. It's Panthers at Flyers. And it's kind of a split panel as well. We have 5 people going with the Panthers. The Panda picks the Panthers because it's an animal. That's what they told me. And then Peyton, and then you and myself going with Philadelphia.
Yeah, I went with Flyers. You know, the Panthers right now, just the goaltending situation is rough. I mean, Bobrovsky, 20-13-5, allows almost 3 goals at least a game. So it's just, you can't really rely on them. And the Flyers, they seem to either do well or do bad. So, I mean, I think that's a game where it's just going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, the Flyers seem to be really good at home, and that's something that one of the reasons I picked them. You know, I'm a big fan of the Panthers. I have a more of an emotional connection with the Panthers than most of you guys may know. I actually did a wedding with Vincent Trocheck, but you know that's I'm picking the Flyers just because they're so good at home, and I got to go statistical over emotion in that one.
And I mean, who can go wrong with Gritty is in the front row
Gritty
right
is
there.
in the front.
You can't really go wrong with Gritty. So
He is my opinion, one of the best mascots in the NHL.
I beg to differ on that one, but that's a whole other segment.
That's a
for
whole
another
other
time.
story. Anyway, Game 3, taking the hometown team for all you guys who are Penguins fans. It's a full pick-em of the Penguins, except for Nolan, who went with Tampa Bay. Nolan, what you got?
I mean, Tampa Bay is Tampa Bay. They have some of the best top 15 in the league for players. Kucherov, Stamkos, 9 points the last 5 games. The Pens, honestly, I just didn't go with them because their goalies are just either successful or they're not. Like Matt Murray, last week he played the Capitals and went off, but I've seen where he's let up 4 to 5 easy ones. So I'm going with the
Lightning on the road.
Lightning.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of the name there.
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out there. We'll see if you pull a fast one on us, and maybe we're all wrong. We'll find out. Looking at Game 4, Stars and Maple Leafs. This is a good one, and that graphic's a little harder to see, but basically, the only people who did not pick the Maple Leafs were myself, Colin, and the Panda, going with Dallas. And Johnny picked it against his own team.
Well, I know I'm going up against my own team on this one, but I picked against the Stars because Toronto is dangerous at home. Austin Matthews, who's Nylander, or those guys seem to enjoy playing in Toronto and light up the scoreboard, and that is becoming a hard place to play on the road. So as much as I'd like to pick the Stars in this one, I've got to go against them in this one.
Yeah, we'll see if myself, Colin, and Panda can pull the upset on that. But, the Stars, they had to go when Toronto lost a game last night to the Rangers, and that was shocking.
Yeah, that was a big loss in that one, and just the way things went. They let the Leafs let up 3 goals within like a minute and a half or something like that. I know 2 of them were in 6 seconds.
Yes.
So that was ridiculous how the goalies were playing.
They were indeed. Let's take a look at Game 5 here. This is the Stadium Series game, one of my favorites, and it's the Avalanche hosting the Kings at Air Force Stadium. And the graphics coming up for that have been absolutely fantastic. They have the Air Force flying in the background, but everybody, the full panel, going with the Avs.
Yeah, I mean, the Kings are struggling this year. Or you see they're already starting to trade off assets. There's not going to be much when they go into this game. But this is going to be a fun one to watch still just because it's an outdoor game playing at the Air Force Academy in Falcon Stadium. It should be entertaining to watch regardless because it's still a neutral rink for everybody. Yeah, but if this was a style points went in, I think the Kings would win for the jerseys they have. Those are sleek. Not going to knock the ones the Avs have, but I have to admit that those jerseys are slick this year.
The Stadium Series jerseys are pretty cool. Too bad we don't have a picture of them, but they are pretty cool if you want to look them up at any point. Let's take a look at a game here that I'm sure Nolan will enjoy. It's a rematch of the Stanley Cup Final not this past season, but the season before, Capitals at Golden Knights. And this is kind of a mixed panel as well. 4 people going with the Golden Knights, and then 4, of course, going with the Capitals. Nolan, what you thinking?
I mean, if they keep up the success they're going, usually the Caps can win 2 and then usually lose 1. So I think by the time this game happens, not till the 17th, I think they should be in a good point. And lately, Alex Ovechkin, I mean, wearing his jersey, been going off. I don't know how many hat tricks he has in this past month.
A lot.
But it's close to 3 to 4. I know the other day I was talking with my roommate, and he was like, he's not even up there this year in goals. And I'm like, he's actually top of the league, which you wouldn't think so, but he is. So I think Cap should be able to take that one easy. But it is in Vegas.
It is.
So,
T-Mobile Arena is a tough place to play.
Yeah, I don't know if it's everything that goes on in Vegas or if it's just a new place that they're not used to playing. You've played at the same 30 arenas for how many years? You add the Knights in now. It's a different arena, a different atmosphere here, but that place is always packed and always jumping, and so we'll expect a close contest with this one. And yes, I agree with Noel, and Ovi's on a hot streak right now, all the way he's scoring goals, but I wouldn't be surprised if he struggles going out there.
We'll find out here. But Game 7, almost done with the pick'em games here. It's Maple Leafs and Penguins in Game 7, and a full panel picking the Pens.
Yeah, it's the Penguins at home. And I love watching these two teams get together just because you have Austin Matthews on one side and you have Sidney Crosby on the other. They're 2 of the Ontario's best, I guess you could say, going at it, watching how these guys play.
Yeah, that was actually the game that Doug wanted me to pick for sure. He's like, you got to pick the Maple Leafs Pens game. Got to put it in there. I'm like, all right. We might even be there yet. We're talking about possibly getting tickets to go see that game. So we might have some photos to show you guys from the game if we go there.
Yeah,
you
we'll
never
find
know.
out here in a couple of days. So
Yeah, and then the last pickup game, matchup number 8. This is one of my favorite ones as well, Bruins and Oilers. And this is a tight one. I wasn't sure who to pick. This is the last game that I was able to decide. The Panda picking the Boston because he said it's a bear. So he's going with the Bruins. I'm picking the Bruins as well. And then we have 2 people, Johnny, Gary, you guys are picking the Oilers. What you got about the Oilers there, Johnny?
the Oilers are a fun team to watch, definitely, especially at home. They are good to watch as well. Oh, right now, you have all that talent up there. They're looking to try to get into the playoffs. They're hungry for the cup. We've seen how the Oilers do. They get into the second half of the season, down towards the stretch, and they just start going off. They become a hard team to play, and right about now is when Edmonton starts to heat up. So I wouldn't be surprised Boston runs into a hot Oilers team.
Yeah, and a lot of times too, we look at that Edmonton really doesn't have all the big name superstars they need. They have a few, but they don't have all the big name superstars that everybody would think they would have if they have a big superstar team like they do. So it was McDavid, Draisaitl, Nolan. What's like their strategy behind their success so far in that conference?
Yeah, I think it's honestly for the Oilers just mixing up the lines. I mean, Zach Kassian, if he's playing for the Capitals, just using an example, he's a fourth line guy. But in Edmonton, he's the first line, and he just got signed to, I believe it was a 4-year contract. So, I think it's just the mixing up of lines, in my opinion. But, go off this game, Bruins are running away.
Yeah.
That top line and McAvoy scoring his first goal last night of the season should be able to kick him off and get him going. So I hate to ruin your banner there, but that top line of the Bruins, I think, is going to torch the Oilers.
We'll see what happens. So we'll give you guys the updates on all of those in the next show we have on the 20th. But a great show to wrap it up, guys. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it. Myself and Nolan to be on for most of the shows. We'll have Johnny rotating in, and Peyton will be joining us for the next show, so on the 20th. But next week, Johnny, what you got?
I was going to say, hey, that next show that we do, it's going to be a lot interesting.
I forgot. Yeah.
And there's 2 different things that are going to be going on, and we'll get to that segment in a moment. But that's going to be the show right before the trade deadline.
Okay.
Because deadline day is Monday at 3 o'clock. So I guarantee you, everyone that's sitting in here and the rest of the panel will be watching TSN, glued to ESPN, and everything that's going to have the trade deadline show on it. So I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I know Colin's going to be excited. Doug said don't even try to message him because he's not going to answer.
Yeah, Monday the 24th is that trade deadline. And for the next show we have, guys, on the 20th, remember, next week is Caton's Corner right here on CUTV, so be sure to tune into that. And then the next show we have on the 20th, we're going to be filming a special segment for you guys we're going to actually be doing penalty shots against each other with some hockey sticks and the goalie pads and stuff. So we'll film that for you guys and air it right here on the show. So if you want to see us play a little hockey, we're going to do that. And then we'll also be actually playing a hockey game later on this semester as well on this show. So that'll be cool. But again, thank you guys for joining us. On behalf of myself, Trevor Gattelis, we got Nolan Beislein, Johnny Sakaguchi, and I thank you guys for tuning in to CUTV Sports 1. We'll see you in 2 weeks for another edition of Forechecking right here.